30,000 years ago, humans had not yet developed advanced technology to help them migrate from one place to another. They relied on their physical capabilities and domesticated animals for transportation. However, this posed a significant challenge when it came to crossing vast bodies of water. This was especially true for our ancestors who lived in East Africa and wanted to settle in Europe, Asia, or the Americas. The only way to get there was by boat. But how did they build boats without the technology of their time? And how did they survive at sea for weeks and months on end? We'll answer these questions and more in today's episode. Stay tuned until the end to learn about an ancient shipwreck that researchers believe could have transported the first humans to the Americas. Welcome to my channel. In this episode, we will look back 30,000 years ago to explore how humans used boats to migrate and survive at sea. Humans have always been explorers, constantly venturing into uncharted territories and discovering new lands. However, their journeys are often fraught with danger, whether it be treacherous terrain, hostile environments, or the risk of losing their lives at sea. But what were the conditions like 30,000 years ago? 30,000 years ago, the world was a very different place than it is today. The climate was much colder than it is now, and the sea levels were lower, which meant that many coastal areas were connected by land bridges. This allowed humans to walk across continents, which is likely how some of the earliest human migrations occurred. For example, a land bridge connected Siberia and Alaska during this time, allowing humans to walk from Asia into North America. As the climate warmed, however, the ice melted and sea levels rose, which ultimately led to the formation of the Bering Strait. This would eventually cut off the land connection between Asia and North America, leaving the two continents separated by a wide expanse of water. As a result, humans in Siberia would need to find another way to reach North America. This is where boats come in. Humans had been using boats for thousands of years before this, but they likely weren't seaworthy enough to make such a long journey. However, as humans continued to develop and improve their boat designs, they eventually created vessels that were capable of crossing the ocean. One theory suggests that humans may have used rafts made from logs of wood or reeds tied together to float on the surface of the water. Another theory suggests that humans may have used dugout canoes, which are boats that are carved out of the trunks of trees. Whatever type of boats they used, it's clear that humans were able to navigate the seas and reach new lands. In the Americas, archaeological evidence shows that humans arrived in North America at least 14,800 years ago. However, there is evidence that suggests they may have arrived much earlier. One such piece of evidence is the discovery of ancient footprints preserved in stone in New Mexico. The tracks were left behind by humans and a child who were walking along a beach when the mud they were standing on hardened into stone. What makes this discovery so significant is that it pushes back the timeline for human habitation in North America by several thousand years. It also provides tangible evidence that humans were able to travel across the Pacific Ocean and reach the Americas long before Christopher Columbus. The discovery of these tracks, along with other evidence such as ancient tools and artifacts, suggests that humans may have arrived in North America via the coast, traveling along the Pacific coast of Siberia down through Alaska and then to the west coast of the United States. It's believed that these early humans were part of the Clovis culture, which was widespread throughout North America during the late Pleistocene epoch. The Clovis culture is known for its distinctive projectile points, which are leaf-shaped and fluted, meaning they have a groove or channel that runs down the center of the point. These points were likely used for hunting large game such as mammoths and mastodons. The idea that humans may have traveled along the coast rather than going inland after crossing the Pacific Ocean is supported by the fact that many of the Clovis sites are located near the coast. Additionally, the presence of marine shells at some of these sites suggests that the people who lived there relied on the ocean for food. This evidence of early human migration along the coast has led some researchers to believe that the ocean played a significant role in the settlement of the Americas. Some researchers even believe that humans may have first settled in the Americas along the coast and then moved inland later. This is supported by the fact that many of the earliest human settlements in the Americas have been found along the coast. Additionally, the presence of marine shells at some of these sites suggests that the people who lived there relied on the ocean for food. This evidence has led some researchers to believe that the coast may have provided a more hospitable environment for early humans than the interior of the continent. The coastal areas may have had a milder climate, making it easier for humans to survive. Additionally, the abundance of marine life would have provided a reliable source of food. However, this was not easy for our ancestors to do. The journey across the Pacific Ocean would have been long and dangerous, fraught with the risk of storms, piracy, and starvation. But humans are known for their tenacity and their ability to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. With their determination and ingenuity, they were able to navigate the treacherous waters and reach the shores of the Americas. Today, we have the technology and resources to make such a journey relatively safe and comfortable. But for our ancestors, it was a truly remarkable feat of human endurance and skill. Let's talk about some of the things that would have been necessary for our ancestors to successfully migrate to the Americas 30,000 years ago. They would have needed to have developed seaworthy vessels that could withstand the rough conditions of the open ocean. They would also need to have developed navigational techniques to be able to steer their boats over such long distances. Additionally, they would need to have enough supplies to sustain themselves on the journey, including food and water. Finally, they would need to have the skills to hunt and fish in the open ocean, as well as the knowledge of the stars to navigate at night. All of these things would have required a significant amount of planning and preparation. But the rewards would have been great. The Americas would have offered new resources and opportunities for humans to explore and exploit. The journey would not have been easy, but the potential rewards would have been worth it. Now let's talk about what types of boats our ancestors may have used to migrate to the Americas 30,000 years ago. As previously mentioned, humans had been using boats for thousands of years prior to this, but they likely weren't advanced enough for such a long journey. The most primitive boats were probably made from animal skins stretched over a frame of wood or stone. As humans progressed, they began to use larger vessels made from logs of wood or reeds tied together. These boats were probably more stable and could carry more people and goods. However, they were still susceptible to the elements and could easily be lost at sea. It wasn't until humans developed the technology to create larger and more durable vessels that they were able to successfully migrate to the Americas. These vessels would have needed to be able to withstand the rough conditions of the open ocean and carry enough supplies to sustain humans on the journey. While we don't know exactly what type of boats humans used, it's likely that they were a combination of the boats we use today. For example, humans may have used dugout canoes for stability and speed, while also using rafts to transport goods and supplies. Ultimately, it took a combination of different types of boats and vessels to successfully migrate to the Americas. What about the supplies and resources needed for such a journey? Humans would have needed to bring enough supplies to sustain themselves on the journey, including food and water. They would also need to have tools for hunting and fishing, as well as materials for shelter and fire making. Additionally, they would need to have navigational tools such as compasses or other devices to help them stay on course. Without these supplies, humans would have been at risk of starvation, dehydration, and exposure. They would also have been vulnerable to attacks from other humans or animals. Finally, humans would have needed to have the skills and knowledge to use these supplies effectively. They would need to be able to hunt and fish in the open ocean, as well as navigate using the stars at night. Additionally, they would need to know how to build shelters and start fires in order to protect themselves from the elements and keep warm. Without these skills and knowledge, humans would have been at risk of injury, illness, and death. As we conclude our discussion of how humans migrated to the Americas 30,000 years ago, it's important to remember that this was a truly remarkable feat. The journey across the Pacific Ocean would have been long and dangerous, but humans were able to make the journey with their determination and ingenuity. By developing seaworthy vessels, navigational techniques, supplies, and skills, humans were able to reach the shores of the Americas and begin exploring and settling the continent. This journey is a testament to the human spirit of exploration and our ability to overcome seemingly insurmountable obstacles. In recent years, researchers have discovered the remains of a shipwreck that could possibly help us better understand how humans first migrated to the Americas. The ship was found off the coast of Chile and is believed to be over 14,500 years old. If further research confirms its age, it will be the oldest known ship in the world. Researchers believe that the ship may have been used by early humans to migrate from Asia to South America. Further research is being conducted to determine the ship's age and purpose, and we may learn more about how humans first settled in the Americas. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more historical tales. Thank you for watching.